What software that is used to run a hardware? Bravo! Device driver is the answer. What are the two ways an OS can close a file? Smart move. Normally or abnormally is an accurate answer. The Greek equivalent term of web servers is well picked. Tissue servers is the correct answer. Which key is used to close the active window? Right again. Alt plus F4 is a valid answer. In a computer, most processing takes place in. You chose CPU, and it is correct. The processor has only one program at a time. Nice selection. Single-user OS is the correct and valid answer. Dash is the interface between user and computer. Right choice. Operating system is the best answer. Which operating system was introduced in 1984? Excellent. Microsoft Windows is a brilliant choice. OS is an interface between the user and Dash. Great thinking. Hardware is the right choice. A user process gets access to kernel through. Good thinking. System calls is the right answer.
WIMP stand for Windows icons, Menace and P.
Valid point. Pointers is true. Allows people to use applications on devices. Exactly. User interface makes sense, and it is right choice. The fastest and most powerful computer system. On track. Super is the correct answer. What is the main goal of an operating system? You're right. User convenience is the correct answer. Choose the correct operating system structure. Perfect. Monolithic is the correct choice. Software program that carries out some action. Nice work. You chose process and it is correct. A set of instructions given to the computer. Excellent choice. Software is the right answer. A computer that is easy to operate is called. Great job. User-friendly computer is the accurate answer. Which of these is not application software? Clear logic. Your choice antivirus is sound and 100% true. What technology makes Wi-Fi calling possible? Solid response. VoIP is a valid choice. An emulator of a particular computer system. Nicely done. Virtual machine is a solid answer. We have to dash the window before moving it. Sharp thinking. Unmaximize restore is the right choice. Which of these is not there on the taskbar? Well reasoned. Close button is the correct choice. These are the small pictures on the desktop. Correct. Icons is the right answer. What controls a computer's basic operations? Good job. Your answer operating system works well here. What type of operating system is Windows 10? Correct response. Single-user OS is the most accurate answer. Windows was originally going to be called as Smart Pick. Interface Manager is the correct choice. You can log in into a remote computer through. Strong choice. Telnet is the right answer. Computers can only understand the zeros and funts. Well done. true is the right choice.
Windows XP, Macintosh OS, and Linux are dash.
You got it. Your choice operating systems is right.
Which one is not found in Windows accessories?
Correct. Explorer is the right answer.
Which of the following is an example of GUI?
Well picked. Windows is the correct answer.
The OS does not boot itself when a system is.
Clear logic. Your choice shutdown is sound and 100% true.
Windows 7 and Windows Vista are examples of.
Bravo, Microsoft Windows is the answer.
Which of the following is a component of OS?
Well reasoned. All of these is the correct choice.
Flowcharts can be used to plan out programs.
Good job. Your answer true works well here.
A button at the left corner of the taskbar.
Strong choice. Start is the right answer.
It is used to enter data into the computer.
Right choice. Keyboard is the best answer.
There are 3 types of system software.
Nice selection. False is the correct and valid answer.
What can be done on Windows Action Center?
Exactly. All of them make sense, and it is right choice.
RAID 0 is not a true member of RAID family.
Nicely done. Yes is a solid answer.
Dash is not an example for operating system.
You chose PowerPoint, and it is correct.
Which type of interface uses WIMP elements?
Excellent. Graphical user interface is a brilliant choice.
How many users are there in operating system?
Smart pick. 2 is the correct choice.
Which is a gateway device between networks?
Right again. Router is a valid answer.
The screen where all the icons are arranged.
Perfect. Desktop is the correct choice.
There are 4 types of operating system.
Correct response. False is the most accurate answer.
GIF stands for Graphics Interchange Format.
You got it. Your choice true is right.
The operating system used on Microsoft PCs.
On track. Windows is the correct answer.
Which of the following is utility software?
Good thinking. Backup software is the right answer.
How many types of user interface are there?
You're right. 2 is the correct answer.
Which is the most popular operating system?
Great job. Windows is the accurate answer.
Which of these is available on the desktop?
Great thinking. Both of these is the right choice.
Dash is the extension of shell script file.
Solid response. Gosh is a valid choice.
Which item is used for changing file names?
Excellent choice. Rename is the right answer.
Which of the following is an output device?
Smart move. Speakers is an accurate answer.
Which is the largest network in the world?
Sharp thinking. Internet is the right choice.
What does the kita command do in Linux?
Nice work. You chose creates a directory, and it is correct. Which is the core of the operating system? Well done. Kernel is the right choice.
The most common operating system for PCs.
Valid point. Windows is true.
Which of the following is a program group?
Sharp thinking. Accessories is the right choice.
Operating system provides service like Dash.
Perfect. All mentioned above is the correct choice.
Which interface is the most popularly used?
Excellent. GUI is a brilliant choice. What else is a command interpreter called?
Bravo. Shell is the answer. One nibble is equivalent to how many bits?
Good job. Your answer 4 works well here.
Which is the latest version of Windows 10?
Smart move. 10-2004 is an accurate answer.
What is the name of this operating system?
You're right.
Linux is the correct answer. How many satellites does Jeeps need to work?
Nice selection. 4 is the correct and valid answer. The dash is the screen area of the monitor. Valid point. Desktop is true. The taskbar is at the dash of the desktop. Nice work. You chose bottom, and it is correct.
The operating system helps to manage files.
Solid response. True is a valid choice. Which command prints the directory stack?
Right again. Dirs is a valid answer.
These are used to store a group of files.
Great job. Folders is the accurate answer.
Logging on to my banking is considered an.
Good thinking.
Extranet is the right answer. Which is used for managing large works?
Strong choice. Batch is the right answer. What does an operating system let you do? You got it? Your choice run other software is right. Requires regular maintenance and updates.
Correct response. Disadvantage is the most accurate answer.
The start menu is divided into 2 parts.
Exactly. True makes sense, and it is right choice.
Here's the command found on Linux Ubuntu. Well done. McDear is the right choice. To open Microsoft Word, click on the dash.
Nicely done. Icon is a solid answer.
Microsoft Windows is an operating system.
Smart pick. True is the correct choice.
Which one of these is an operating system?
Well reasoned.
MS-DOS is the correct choice. Character user interface is also known as. Well picked. Command line interface is the correct answer.
Partition description table collects the.
Right choice. Both A and B is the best answer.
An example of an operating system is Dash.
Great thinking. MacOS is the right choice. What is the first bar in a window called? You chose title bar, and it is correct. Security is provided through the server. On track. Advantage is the correct answer. Multiple level queues is a type of. Correct. CPU scheduling is the right answer. Ready queue is stored as which data type? Clear logic. Your choice linked list
is sound and 100% true.
Which of the following is a binary code?
Excellent choice. So on to 11 is the right answer. What is the tab that added to Windows 8? Right again. Charms bars is a valid answer. Which is the most common examples of GUI? Great job. Windows is the accurate answer. Which is built directly on the hardware? Right choice. Operating system is the best answer. Which of these are examples of hardware? Exactly. Mouse, keyboard, printer makes sense, and it is right choice.
An operating system is also known as OS.
Smart move. True is an accurate answer. Memory management refers to management of. Smart pick. Primary is the correct choice. To permanently delete a file, press dash. Sharp thinking. Shift plus delete is the right choice. The English equivalent term of mode is strong choice. Function is the right answer. What is an example of short-term memory? You got it. Your choice RAM is right. Which term relates to a multi-user system? Valid point. Time sharing is true. Which OS is used in air traffic control? You're right. Real time is the correct answer. A computer's clock speed is measured in. Nice selection. Gigahertz is the correct and valid answer. Can we rename any file in the computer? Bravo. Yes is the answer. Notification area is also known as dash. Well done. System tray is the right choice. Where is an operating system installed? Good thinking. Hard disk is the right answer. The operating system used on Apple PCs? Great thinking. macOS is the right choice. Opening more than one window at a time. Correct response. Multitasking is the most accurate answer.
How many sections are there on taskbar?
Excellent. 3 is a brilliant choice. An N dash tells the computer how to work. Well reasoned. Operating system is the correct choice. Examples of multi-user operating system. On track. Unix is the correct answer. What is the file extension for WordPad? ClearLogic, your choice. ROTF is sound and 100% true. What language do operating systems use? Well picked. Binary code is the correct answer. Who developed Windows operating system? Perfect. Microsoft is the correct choice. Firewall acts as dash between networks. Excellent choice. Barrier is the right answer. What is used to store a group of files? You chose folder, and it is correct. The base register is also known as the correct. Relocation register is the right answer. The type of network found in a school. Good job, your answer LAN works well here. Who might send out an emergency alert? Solid response. Obama is a valid choice. There are 2 main types of semaphores. Nice work. You chose both A and B and it is correct. Dash allows to hide the opened window. Nicely done. Minimize is a solid answer. Used to store any piece of information.
Smart pick. File is the correct choice.
To refresh window, we use the shortcut.
Smart move. F5 is an accurate answer. The desktop background is known as dash. Solid response.
Wallpaper is a valid choice. For CFs is used in which of the following?
You got it? Your choice matches right.
Connection between person and computer.
Sharp thinking. Interface is the right choice. Select an open source operating system.
Bravo. Ubuntu Linux is the answer. What can be seen on notification area?
Correct response.
Time and date is the most accurate answer. What is the benefit of multi-threading? Right choice. Increased CPU utilization is the best answer. How many abstraction layers are there?
Perfect. 7 is the correct choice.
In Linux, what is the root directory? Excellent. Go is a brilliant choice. Which one is not an operating system? You chose Polaroid, and it is correct. Which can the main memory take in it? Good job. Your answer both works well here. The background picture of the desktop.
On track. Wallpaper is the correct answer.
What is Ostrich Algo associated with?
Excellent choice. Deadlock ignorance is the right answer.
What is a line of instruction called?
Nice work. You chose code and it is correct.
What are the two kinds of semaphores?
Well reasoned. Binary and counting is the correct choice.
Select the incorrect operating system.
Strong choice. Explorer is the right answer.
What is the keyboard shortcut to run?
Well picked.
Win plus R is the correct answer. Choose the Microsoft operating system.
Nicely done. Windows is a solid answer.
Lollipop is an example of Android OS.
Valid point. True is true.
Classical problems of synchronization.
Nice selection. All of the above is the correct and valid answer.
Is sideloading recommended for users?
Well done. No is the right choice.
Which is an example of an IP address?
Right again, 67.1343232 is a valid answer.
What is the order of the fetch cycle?
Great thinking. Fetch, decode, execute is the right choice.
The operating system is in your mind?
Correct.
False is the right answer.
The CPU is the dash of the computer. Exactly. Brain makes sense and it is right choice.
Which of this is not the part of Oz?
Great job. File manager is the accurate answer.
Dash is loaded at power up or reboot.
Clear logic. Your choice bootstrap program is sound and 100% true.
Worldwide publicly accessed network. You're right. Internet is the correct answer.
The smallest type of network is Dash.
Good thinking. Pan is the right answer.
Programs that perform specific tasks.
Right choice. Application software is the best answer.
What does the acronym mean for LENTEFs? Perfect. New Technology File System is the correct choice. A process is a program in execution.
Well-reasoned. True is the correct choice. Which one below is for laptop only? Good job. Your answer hibernate works well here.
CPU scheduling is the basis of Dash. You're right. Multiprogramming operating systems is the correct answer. Which program brings them together? Nicely done. The operating system is a solid answer. Race conditions can be overcome by
Smart move. Synchronization between applications is an accurate answer.
file management shows a list of right again. A files and folder is a valid answer. Which elements are included in GUI? Solid response. All of the above is a valid choice. SJF is used in batch or interactive. Exactly. Batch makes sense, and it is right choice.
The computers in our classroom are
Nice selection. Wired is the correct and valid answer. Which of this is an example of NAS?
sharp thinking. Novell is the right choice.
A computer uses Dash to hold files.
Nice work. You chose folder and it is correct.
All GUIs are similarly structured. On track. Correct is the correct answer. User interface can be divided into Smart Pick. 2 is the correct choice. The scrambling of code is known as Excellent. Encryption is a brilliant choice. The shortcut menu is also known as Correct response. Context menu is the most accurate answer. Computer are made up of a dash parts.
Well done. 2 is the right choice.
To select the entire document, use Great thinking. Ctrl+ is the right choice. To do more than one task at a time. Excellent choice. Multitask is the right answer. Which is the main operating system? Valid point. Windows is true. What does an OS need to work well? Great job. All answers is the accurate answer. An uninterrupted unit is known as Well picked. Atomic is the correct answer. What is the full name of the DASM?
Bravo. Distributed shared memory is the answer.
This is a type of system software. Correct. Disk cleaner is the right answer. The keyboard shortcut to paste is Good thinking. Ctrl+V is the right answer. Which file starts Microsoft Word?
You got it? Your choice, Winward. X is right.
What does the term ICT stand for?
Strong choice. Information and communication technology is the right answer.
BIOS is a part of which function? You chose Bootstrap process, and it is correct. Dash is the image on the desktop. Clear logic. Your choice wallpaper is sound and 100% true. Payroll is an example of which OS? Valid point. BatchOS is the operating system is a type of. Great job system software is the accurate answer. Thrashing is related to degree of. On track. Multi-programming is the correct answer. Choose the Apple operating system. Solid response. Mac OS X is a valid choice. The internet is considered a 1. Strong choice. True is the right answer. Windows can be updated from Dash. Right choice. Control panel is the best answer, which is an example of software. Perfect. Mess Office is the correct choice. No central location for storage. Excellent. Disadvantage is a brilliant choice. In which OS we use punch cards. Smart pick. BatchOS is the correct choice. OFF stands for Unix file system. Good thinking. True is the right answer. A program in execution is called. Well reasoned. Process is the correct choice. Which structure is used by Unix? Nicely done. Monolithic structure is a solid answer. The file system NEF stands for. Smart move. New technology file system is an accurate answer. Which is faster than first fit? You're right. Neither is the correct answer. Name the OS for mobile devices. Excellent choice. Android is the right answer. Operating system is a hardware. Well picked. False is the correct answer. ROF stands for rich text format. Exactly. True makes sense and it is right choice. All memory is measured in what? Great thinking. Gigabytes is the right choice. Operating system used to manage. Correct. Storage is the right answer. My computer was introduced from. Well done. Windows 98 is the right choice. Operating systems do not manage. Nice work. You chose spelling, and it is correct. Ubuntu Linux is an example of a. Right again. Open source operating system is a valid answer. Windows Mobile is open sourced. Correct response. False is the most accurate answer. Which of the following is Guy? Bravo. All of these is the answer. What is a computer made up of? Sharp thinking. Hardware and software is the right choice. Which is used in CPU scheduler. Clear logic. Your choice short-term scheduler is sound and 100% true. Malicious software is known as. Nice selection. Malware is the correct and valid answer. What is the full form of TIFF? You chose tagged image file format. And it is correct. Which is not an example of Guy? Good job. Your answer Unix works well here. Multiprocessor system gives a. You got it? Your choice tightly coupled system is right. Banker's algorithm is used as. Strong choice. Deadlock avoidance method is the right answer. What happens when RAM is full? On track. Virtual memory is used is the correct answer. Guy and Kai are known as Dash. Good thinking. Interface is the right answer.
Small pictures on the desktop.
Great thinking. Icons is the right choice. The term OS is short for Dash. Solid response. Operating system is a valid choice, which is not a process state. Nicely done. Redirected is a solid answer. Python is developed by Dash. Well picked. Guido van Rossum is the correct answer.
FastCFSys operates similar to a.
Exactly. Q makes sense and it is right choice.
Windows 10 the successor of.
You chose Windows 8.1 and it is correct. Who is the founder of Linux? Correct response. Linus Torvalds is the most accurate answer.
Thread is also known as Dash.
Sharp thinking. Lightweight process is the right choice.
8 bits of data refers to.
Valid point. Byte is true. Semaphores are used to solve. Bravo. Mutual exclusion is the answer. A tool for multitasking is. Right choice. Task Manager is the best answer. The full form of Guy is Dash. Right again. Graphical user interface is a valid answer.
Round robin is also known as.
Great job. Time slicing is the accurate answer. The reason for our usage is. Smart pick. Both of these is the correct choice. What year was Unix created? You got it. Your choice 1969 is right.
RAM is what kind of memory?
Well reasoned. Temporary is the correct choice. What is complete form CMOS? Correct. Complementary metal oxide semiconductor is the right answer. An operating system is an. Perfect. System software is the correct choice.
Shortcut used to cut a file.
Good job. Your answer Trl plus X works well here. The extension of Notepad is. Nice selection. TXT is the correct and valid answer. The term gigabyte refers to. Clear logic. Your choice 1024 megabytes is sound and 100% true. Linux is an OS made by Dash. Well done. Linus Torvalds is the right choice. In Unix Schmod is used for. Smart move. Protection is an accurate answer. Where is the action center? Excellent choice. Windows 10 is the right answer. What are operating systems? Nice work. You chose software and it is correct. Dash runs external devices. Excellent. Device drivers is a brilliant choice. Operating system is a Dash. You're right. A set of programs is the correct answer. Large non-volatile storage. You chose secondary memory, and it is correct. Dash is a primary storage. You got it? Your choice RAM is right. What does SCSI stand for? Sharp thinking. Super Video Graphics Array is the right choice. A nibble is equal to Dash. Well picked.
4 bits is the correct answer.
MMP4 file would be 4.
Good thinking. Video is the right answer.
Dash is a system software.
Great thinking. Windows is the right choice.
Time sharing system uses.
Exactly. Midterm scheduler makes sense, and it is right choice.
The taskbar is used to.
Valid point. All of these is true.
macOS is an example of. You're right. Network OS is the correct answer.
Random access, volatile.
Perfect. Main memory is the correct choice.
Quantum time is used in.
Smart pick. Time sharing is the correct choice, which is not in the PCB. On track. Processor size is the correct answer. Closest to the user are. Great job. Application programs is the accurate answer.
Is the BIOS a firmware?
Right again. Yes is a valid answer.
What does graphics mean?
Right choice. Pictures is the best answer. A resident program dash. Correct response. Remains in memory is the most accurate answer. A server dash request. Solid response. Response is a valid choice.
Why semaphore is used?
Nice work. You chose to solve critical problem and it is correct.
Full form of CLI dash.
Nice selection. Command line interface is the correct and valid answer.
The sign-in options. Excellent choice. All of them is the right answer. The full form of GUI. Well done. Graphical user interface is the right choice.
What is a semaphore?
Good job. Your answer and integer works well here.
RAM and ROM are both.
Bravo. Primary storage is the answer. A folder can contain. Clear logic. Your choice, both folders and files, is sound and 100% true.
Processors have dash.
Excellent. 3 states is a brilliant choice.
Full form of MS-DOS.
Nicely done. Microsoft Disk Operating System is a solid answer.
GUI stands for dash.
Strong choice. Graphical user interface is the right answer.
GUI is the term of.
Correct. Graphical user interface is the right answer.
What is a program?
Smart move. A list of instructions is an accurate answer.
Windows is on dash.
Well reasoned. Operating system is the correct choice.
Apple OS is dash.
You're right. Closed source software is the correct answer.
Post is short for.
Exactly. Power on self-test makes sense, and it is right choice.
OS comprises of.
Strong choice. Software is the right answer.
Heap is used for.
On track. Dynamic memory allocation is the correct answer.
Is short for.
Well picked. Shortest job first is the correct answer.
Full form of W.
Smart move. World Wide Web is an accurate answer.
Public Wi-Fi is.
Bravo, unencrypted is the answer.
What is the SPU?
Nice selection. Central Processing Unit is the correct and valid answer. Examples of key? Good job. Your answer MEMS-DOS works well here.
SEM stands for
Sharp thinking. Switched mode power supply is the right choice.
US stands for
Valid point. Universal serial bus is true. Methods of IPS. Nice work. You chose both A and B, and it is correct.
BOS expands as
Correct. Barrett Operating System Solutions is the right answer.
CLI stands for
Nicely done. Command line interface is a solid answer.
ease of setup.
Clear logic. Your choice advantage is sound and 100% true.
GUI stands for
Smart pick. Graphical user interface is the correct choice.
PUC stands for
Perfect. Hardware is the correct choice.
FAT stands for
Great job. File allocation table is the accurate answer.
DOS stands for
Excellent. Disk operating system is a brilliant choice.
a process is a
Excellent choice. Active entity is the right answer.
CPU generates
Great thinking. Logical address is the right choice.
BIOS is used.
You got it? Your choice by operating system is right.
Expander P.
You chose application program interface, and it is correct.
Expand.
Right choice. Operating system is the best answer.
Mode bit 0.
Solid response. Kernel mode is a valid choice.
DOS means
Well done. Disk operating system is the right choice. Zip means right again. Compressed file is a valid answer.
CLI is a
Good thinking. Command line interface is the right answer.
GUI is a
Correct response. Graphical user interface is the most accurate answer.
B mean
Well reasoned. Megabyte is the correct choice.
How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format. Correct. Contact Narayan Changda on Facebook is the right answer.